everybody. Welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine. We're on episode 111. I just got a new apartment. Okay. New apartment, who this? I'm going to just change my number now. Just because I got a new apartment, I need a new number. I need to get a landline. I need to get a landline phone. I don't think I have the words to express the joy. Clearly you hear it in my voice. But there is just such a joy that I'm feeling. And it's gratitude mixed with joy, mixed with excitement, mixed with awe, and mixed with being in the present. You know, being in the present moment and just really being in awe of, wow, I'm here. I'm finally in my own home. No, it's not a house, but it's my apartment, and I'm so happy and thrilled about it. And obviously, you know, you guys know why, you know, prior to me moving to this new apartment that I'll talk about in a bit, but I was staying with my uncle's house, and that was not, to say the least, that was not the best. If you want to just go back to the episode titled "Don't Put Baby in a Corner," you'll know why I'm saying what I'm saying. So go back to that episode and listen to that. But I would just say, you know, there's nothing like living in your own space and being in your own environment, you know, having things the way you want them to be, cooking what you want, being clean, right? And things staying clean. Like, I'm just so grateful. And being in this mindset now of recognizing that I am worthy of what I want, I am worthy of what I need, and not doubting myself is such a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful moment, and it's just a beautiful feeling to feel, because, you know, for so long I've been feeling this whole imposter syndrome. I've been feeling unworthy. I remember when I first moved here, I'm saying first moved, like I moved here several times. No, but like when the first few months, even first few weeks of me living in Houston, I was not feeling comfortable in just the newness of it all. I was feeling unworthy. I was just doubting myself all the time. Previous to the job that I have now, I was working at this horrible, it was not horrible, but like this very, very small school, but my experience at that school was horrible. The school may not be horrible. It's great for the students, right? They're thriving, or they were at that time when I was working there. But that work experience was by far top 2 and not 2, okay, of the worst job experience I've ever had. And I say that because you guys know, I forgot which episodes I talk about. I mean, much earlier on. So if you want to go back to the 2018 episodes, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I stayed at that job for 11 weeks. And I will never forget the amount of time I stayed there, because I was literally counting down the days until somebody else until Panera Bread was hiring, nigga. Like, I wanted out. But Maxine, you're an educator. I would work at Panera Bread to not work at this damn school anymore. I'm talking about the previous school I was working at when I moved to Houston. And I hated it there. I hated it there. And primarily why I hated it there is there was this doubt placed upon me at the workplace. I remember everything I did there. Mind you, she came to find me, to hire me. She went out of her way to fly me down to Houston. I moved to Houston because of that job. I mean, not because of that job, but that job was a conduit for me getting here. So it's all a blessing, right? When you look back at it. But it was just a horrible experience. You know how you got to get through things to realize, okay, I get what God did there, but damn, I had to go through that. I had to go through this job I had to get this job in order to be here in Houston. Yes, there's many people who have moved to different areas without having a job solidified. I was not going to be one of those people. I just did not feel comfortable doing that with my anxiety the way it was back then. I just could not feel comfortable doing that. So I needed to have something secure, and that job was I'm just gonna say their name. I'm not gonna say their name. I'm just gonna say SLP. Okay, SLP was the conduit for me to get to Houston. So cool, I'm in Houston, I made it, I finally moved, and I did what I said I wanted to do, and now I'm at this shitty ass job. And it's not the students that are shitty. I mean, some of them were kind of shitty because they were like super privileged kids and like very entitled, but it was the establishment itself. The boss there, she was everything I did. She doubted. She just made me feel like I didn't know anything, like I didn't have years of experience in this field. And every idea I displayed, every agenda that I may have wanted to addend, or what's the word? But everything I wanted to put forward and show myself that, hey, here's something that we could do here, or hey, here's what I'm implementing here, or hey, any opinion, like anything I did as far as my teaching practice, even the way I would teach the students, she had a problem with. It was literally, I remember I was teaching, mind you, if you've ever met me, I'm really a dope ass bitch. Like, I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, I'm really that girl. I'm very genuine. I like to connect with people emotionally and just on some natural, I just like to get to know people and like to make you feel comfortable and connected, And I do that, of course, with my students as well as a teacher. So as I'm teaching the content, implementing strategies to strengthen students' skills for meeting this objective, doing all this teacher stuff. My teachers know what I'm talking about. I am also being kind to students, right? I'm also hearing, hey, what they did for the weekend. I'm also kind of feeding into their identity, who they are, while teaching them, while presenting best practices for them to be successful at this skill, for them to be stronger writers and readers and all, critical thinkers, all of that. Yet me doing that, right? Me being a genuine ass bitch. I mean, let's just name it what it is, right? Me being a genuine ass bitch was not good, basically. I needed to be this stern ass woman, and I'm just not that girl. Like, I don't, like, when I get mad, I don't even like to stay mad for too long. I just like, okay, are we done? Like, I love to smile, I love to laugh, I like to have a good time, and I make my students, I make people around me, but in particular my students, I make them feel like they're having a good time whilst learning, And when she would see me, when she would watch me teach, and she'll notice, oh, I'm smiling, the kids are smiling, or they're laughing and I'm laughing, and they're doing their work, right? They're still writing down stuff or on the computer completing a task. I would get this look from her like, huh? Like, what's going on over there? And she was this white older woman, not old, but probably in her 40s. Just, she'll have this like, I'm doing this expression, y'all can't see it obviously, but she'll tilt her head, she'll squint her eyes, and she'll be like, what's going on over here? As if learning can't be fun. As if learning cannot be a good time. As if you must be sweating in tears, not having fun. And that is the mindset that was already, like, that was a red flag enough, right? But I'm in this position, I have to have a job in order to pay my rent. I have to have a job to support myself, and all of these things were going through my mind. So I felt like, okay, I just gotta, persevere, push through. And I remember, so there'll be multiple moments of her giving me this look and making me feel like, oh, I shouldn't, like, I can't be myself. I can't be myself while teaching. I can't continue to display my wonderful characteristics while teaching. I have to transform into this robot for her. When, bitch, hire a robot. Hello, I'm a black woman. Like, I'm gonna have personality. For the look, I know I'm generalizing, but for the most part, I'm gonna have personality. And being also, let's talk about diversity. Because this was a very small school. Sorry, guys. This was a very small school that had, I want to tell y'all, 20 students. When I say 20 students, I mean 20 students in total. Huh? What is that? I don't understand. Right. It's a very, very small school. Very, very small school. And the school started off as a homeschooling situation. And she was able to get the homeschooling into a building, certified into a school license building. Okay. So those homeschool students would now enter the building facility during school hours and will learn via an online portal. So they're on campus. Students are on campus, but they're all logged into a system. They all have laptops, and they're all learning through a teacher online who's not a real teacher. Like, it's not someone like through Zoom. It's totally different. This was pre-COVID, you guys. So them going through COVID now, I'm sure they were already like all set, right? But prior to COVID, it was a situation that I just didn't understand. You hired me because you said you wanted to implement more traditional or start implementing traditional classroom practices. And through my interview with her, through several, mind you, we had like 2 interviews back to back, and then they flew me in to interview them in person and had me wait on pins and needles in my hotel room until I get a call back. I got a call back from the boss's husband, who's also in partnership with the school, and he's asking me other questions. He's okay, I'll give you a call back. Like, nigga, playing with me. Y'all playing with me right now. Like, literally playing with me. And I'm in my hotel room just like, okay, I packed all my things just to wait. What are we doing? Are you hiring me or not? Obviously they did. But I was on pins and needles just to be hired. And so all of this is how the school is ran, right? Like, there is just a homeschool ethic to it. And when she hired me, as I said in my interview, I was very honest. I didn't lie about anything. I said, hey, I shared my experience. I am a traditional classroom teacher, and this is what I've done throughout the years. These are the practices I've done. This is what I would do in this scenario. And with teacher interviews, they will give you scenarios sometimes, and you will present your solution to that scenario, to that problem, that scenario. Or you'll also model a class lesson, with students and teaching that skill. So just the first part was completed, and she said that she wanted to implement classroom traditional practices and would listen to what I said, and everything sounded good over the phone. She was in agreement. She loved what I said. Like, we were on the same page. So I flew in with that in mind. Like, okay, I'm entering this new position, this new job, with the acceptance of who I am, with the acceptance of my experience in said field, right? So when all of a sudden she flipped the switch on me and everything I did was wrong, everything I did wasn't good enough, it started eating at me. Okay, and that's another sign when things are not okay. When you're and I'm going to be specific to workplaces. When you're in a workplace that does not affirm you, that's a red flag to get the fuck out. Whatever you can. If Panera, I'm thinking of Panera. I'm hungry right now, but I don't know why Panera Bread's in my mind. But literally, like, if there is no affirmation to who you are or what you contribute, and everything that you say is being discouraged and just doubted and looked down upon as if you don't know shit, that is enough to consider, hey, I don't need to be here. I could find somewhere else that actually appreciates me and not just tolerates me, right? That actually wants to hear from me and actually respects what I'm saying. And I'm so grateful to have a workplace, to have a job now that I've been working for the past, ever since I left that job. So the 11 weeks that I spent at SLP is now, is over, obviously. And ever since then, I've been working at the job that I'm at now. I'm so grateful for the job that I have now because it's very affirming. It's very, I feel recognized. I feel seen. And with the previous job, I felt so dismissed, and it started eating up at me, as I was saying. It started eating up at me, and I was starting to doubt my own self. I was starting to feel like, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm not. Maybe this wasn't right for me. Maybe I made the wrong decision. So that all of that led into me experiencing and really identifying with the imposter syndrome that I was learning about. And that led into my increased anxiety, and then led into my unworthiness feelings, and being in my apartment, in my previous apartment at that time, and feeling like I can't settle in here. They're gonna snatch it away from me. This was a lie. Everything's gonna be taken away from. Like, I was going crazy. Okay, but God. But anyway, I say all that to say I'm just so grateful to be where I am right now. And though of course my original plan was to purchase a home, but I realized, this is not the right time for me right now, and it's okay. While I am still growing more in my literacy when it comes to finances, and just in everything that I'm doing, I'm growing more in my mindset. I'm growing more in my emotional well-being and my mental health, and that's really what's most important. I'm so grateful to be in this mindset now. So shout out to me, new apartment, who it is, because it really is who it is. Like, wow, I've grown so much. And if you guys want to just listen back to previous episodes and listen to just the anxiety that I was just struggling with. I was really debilitating from anxiety for such a long time. And I've moved forward from that point. And it's really amazing. Like, when I tell you guys the view, hey, petite, like, it's really dope. So I'm really grateful for that. I also just want to point out why I'm just realizing more that Boston Babe really didn't give a fuck about me. Like, like, what? How did we get here? We got here because, when I moved to Houston, this was during the time when me and Boston Babe was still talking. And he knew I was initially thinking about it. And then when it all happened so fast, I moved before having a chance to say goodbye. And even if I wanted to say goodbye, it's hard with Boston Babe because he's very spontaneous. He doesn't really have plans when it comes to me, at least. It's not like, oh, hey, we're hanging out every day, or, oh, hey, we're hanging out every 2 days. No, it's whenever he wants, and at that time I was always available for him and always willing and able. So even if I wanted to see him prior to me jumping on a plane and heading to Houston, I probably wasn't going to, and I wasn't going to. I know I wasn't going to, because it wasn't under his terms. So anyway, when I moved here, and I told him, oh, I got the job, I moved, and I'm now in Houston. And he said, oh my gosh, wow, that's like, so he's first congratulating me, saying I would love Houston, and would also say throughout conversations we've had since my move, he'll say, oh, how he will visit me, how he will fly down. And he never has for me. There was never an attempt to fly down here to come see Maxine. He actually has a friend down here that who he hangs out with. Like, they have planned, he and his crew of boys, his crew of niggas, okay, his crew of drug dealing niggas, they have a plan every other, I don't know how many times, but they plan out times to fly out and come together and, go to strip clubs and, be niggas. And one of his boys live in Houston. He would make purposeful plans to go fly out and be with his nigga and his niggas all together, and they're out and blah, blah, blah. Yet he never made an attempt to come see me. And I remember there was a time when he flew down and me and him was not talking at that time, one of our off periods. And he hits me up on some, hey, Max, or hey, he would call me this actually rude ass pet name, but hey, Punk. That's what he would call me, Punk. Damn, I was in an abusive relationship. But I took it like, oh, Punk. Girl, seek help, which I'm going to talk about. I went to therapy last week, like I said I would, and that was amazing, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, so he'll call me Punk. So, but not all the time. Let me just explain myself. Like, damn, Maxine, really? Let me just explain myself. Not all the time. He will say sweetheart. He'll say bae or no babe sometimes, but a majority of the time it was Punk. But in an endearing way. You know how you call your niggas nigga? That's what... But no, it's still not okay. Just think about it right now. I'm like, damn, I was called Punk by a man who I liked and would let him enter inside of me. Okay, this is not okay. Lesson learned. So anyway, he'll fly in to see his niggas. And yet this woman who, hey, me, the woman you've been sleeping with, the woman who you have somewhat consistent conversations with, and you've been somewhat consistently for 3 or 4 years now, just been in this space with emotionally, and you haven't made one effort to come see me? Huh? Like, just very, it's crazy, to say the least. It's very crazy. And me moving, I didn't realize at the time, like, you know, honestly, let me just give y'all some context. Like, I come from a background. I feel like I'm shitting on my background. I'm really not trying to. But I'm just trying to give some context. I don't really have people in my life who give gifts. Like, I don't have people, oh my gosh, you're moving. Let me assist you with this. Or let me gift you with this. Anything, right? I don't get gifts. I really don't. And gifts has not, like, gift giving has never really been my love language. But I think, I'm like, oh, you know, I'm not materialistic, it's not a big deal, right? That would be my instance. I don't know if you guys are hearing the ambulance. Well, just excuse it, so sorry. But there is, yeah, I've never had the opportunity to really be a gift giver type of love language person, right? Because I just never really been giving gifts. So it was never even an option. Okay. So like my parents, they don't give gifts. Like, it's my birthday, it's just happy birthday. What my parents would do whenever I would turn the age of my birthday, they'll give me that money. They'll give me money in that exact age, which is, it's a cute thing that we've been doing, like, since I was a teenager, even younger probably. So that's the thing. But I don't get gifts like, oh, here's a bracelet I bought for you, I care about you, or even a gift card. Like, it's just, I don't get gifts. So I was never in the mindset of getting gifts, of even thinking that, oh, this is an opportunity to give me a gift, you know? And when I think about now, like, having this new apartment and being settled in, or being more settled in, there's a few more things I could add in and make everything a little bit more perfect for me. But I just don't even think about, oh, this is an opportunity for some people, if they so choose, to give me a gift for this new place, this new home. And typically it's more reserved for those who purchase houses, right? Here's your housewarming gift. And there's this like bourgeoisie that a lot of people have when it comes to house ownership and apartment renting ship. And as if like when you get a new apartment, you shouldn't really be giving gifts for it. And it's actually very elitist. I realize that now, coming from just the mindset that I have now on it. But, you know, new spaces can receive new gifts, okay? Not once did Boston Bay. He knew I moved to Houston, in 2018. He knew I got an apartment. He knew, and I actually gave him my address because one time he said, oh, give me your address and give me a copy of your keys. And in my head, I'm like, oh, this is cute. This is an opportunity for us to be closer. No. And I was just, very, just low self-esteem, okay, to say the least. So I took that and I thought oh, this is so sweet. This is nice. That's enough. But he knew my address because I gave it to him. And I didn't give him a set of keys because that never happened. And he never came to see me directly. But he never made it a point to say, hey, what's your apartment number again? I'm sending you a housewarming gift. Or, hey, do you have a registry for things that you may need in your apartment? Hey, I heard you've been talking about getting these bar stools. Here's the money for it. Or here is the gift. Here's the gift of it, right? He's never done that. And I'm just, because I was never this gift giver, gift receiver, love language person, because I never experienced that, I just didn't really think about that. Now, I'm realizing, damn, that's really fucked up. That's really, really fucked up. And what makes me realize that is Freckles Bay. So Freckles Bay, I introduced you guys to him a few episodes ago, and this man, I can't even call him a nigga because I think there's niggas, and then there's men. Niggas don't really give a fuck about you. Niggas are just there to nig, right? To get what they get, to put their dick in you because you're a warm body, okay? Men are men, right? Men are genuine. Men care. And look, there are some whack, but when I say whack ass niggas, I'm talking about niggas. I'm not talking about men, right? So I hope I'm making sense to somebody. But men take care of who they care for, right? Or take some concern, take some consideration. And what I appreciate about Freckles Bay is when we had this whole power outage, I was explaining what was happening with the residence I was in at that time and how there was no water and I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I was just just chopping it up, saying that. I wasn't saying it in a way, you gotta do something, hello. I don't ever ask. I don't ever put it out there so you could pick it up and give me what I need in the moment. I don't ever. It's just, we're having a conversation, you ask me a question, or we're just conversing about this, and I so happen to share, oh yeah, I don't have water. Oh yeah, the heat is out. Oh, well, I'm just gonna, it's never on some, what you gonna do about it, nigga, So while we just even talking about it, y'all, he's checking in, he's making sure I'm good, he's concerned that I'm not in heat right now, and he's offering some solution, right? He's actually caring, he's taking steps. And mind you, we're not necessarily close in a physical vicinity. He's not near me. He's about 2 hours out, and there's no way for him to, sure, if he wanted to drive out, sure, right? But that's not the point. The point is he still showed he cared through his conversation with me, through our texts, through our phone calls, through moments like that. When you have this nigga, Boston Bay, and I don't even want to give him that name anymore because I'm just like, damn, nigga didn't give one fuck about me. You know how you just get out of an abusive, because I'm really, that's what I'm naming it. That's really what it was. When you get out of an abusive relationship, you realize, God damn, I was abused. No, he didn't hit me, thank God. But the emotional and mental abuse, wow. I'm just realizing more and more. And when you compare, sometimes we naturally compare men to each other, some a present beau with a former beau. You compare their personalities, you compare their actions, and when I compare the two, I'm just like, wow, that's a nigga and this is a man. That's a nigga, say it with me, and this is a man. And so another example of that is when Freckles Bay even asked, hey, do you have a registry for your apartment? Is there some things that, just, what? I don't even think that way, because I don't even think that people would care or people would make time to gift me anything. That's really how I think, y'all. It's not even on some, in romantic relationships, I don't feel like, I haven't experienced gift giving. No. It's just with everything. Like, I don't really have friends who just give gifts, and that's no shot to friends. It's just, I haven't experienced that. And everyone is really kind of just in their own lane. Everyone's doing what they're doing, and it's like a survival, doggy dog world, and it's just kind of sucky. So I don't have the expectation that somebody could care enough to even ask, hey, do you need anything? Or, hey, do you have a registry? Like, what? So Freckles Bay even presenting that just makes me angrier at Boston Bay. Like, it's not even awesome. Like, I appreciate Freckles Bay for doing like all of that, but like Boston Bay, I just get so mad. Like, god damn, because wow, not once did he ask me if I wanted anything, if I'm good, if there's something that I'm missing and he could, offer X, Y, and Z. Not once did he ask me if I've eaten. Nigga, how about, what's love to me? Love to me is, hey, have you eaten today? No, I haven't eaten yet. I'm hungry. Boom. Cash at me. Uber Eats me. Not to say I can't do it for myself, but that's an extension. That's a display of your care, right? You're not physically here, but I'm experiencing your presence because this is a present, right? Of you gifting me food, right? Food is not a gift, but you know what I mean? Like, you actually care enough to order me this item, this food, this delivery. I'm hungry. That is it. Like, Boston Bay never asked me if I've eaten today. Child. The only time he has was when we were physically together and I'm at his house and, you gotta eat before you fuck, right? Like, that's just like common decency. But that's been the only time. And I swear to God, I'm not lying. That's really been the only time. He's never cared about me outside of when can we fuck, basically. He never said those, those exact words in that order, that question in particular. But I realized, wow, I was really just a woman in his life who was a warm body, right? Because I'm alive. A woman in his life who's a warm body who he could fuck. That's really it. And I'm sitting with that and I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. And there's some sadness that I feel. There's just remorse. There's just a mixture of feelings. Like, there's anger. There's just everything. Like, damn, you did me wrong. And damn, I did myself wrong. I take ownership and I take responsibility for even being in that position for as long as I was. And there's all of these things. And I'm just so mad. I'm so mad thinking about it. Like, that's really what I feel. It's anger for the most part. The fact that you just never really give a fuck about me. Like, oh wow, you just don't give a fuck about me. But you have Freckles Bay, who I've known for maybe 3 months now, who has shown more care, more genuineness, I don't know the word, but more of that, more of a man than Boston Bay has ever been to me. it's crazy. So you know how people say, you know, oh, you know, I've been with my ex for, you know, for 6 years, and they would talk about marriage, but marriage never eventually happened, but they were with each other for such a long time, right? 6 years, 10 years even, yet they would break up, and that woman, let's just keep it to the girlfriend, right? That girlfriend would be in her next relationship 6 months, that nigga locks it down. That man, excuse me, well, locked it down. They get married. They're happily in love. And it's like, wait, how does that even happen? She was with this guy for 6 months, but she was with her ex for 6 years. How did she not marry him? How did they not get into marriage yet with this man for 6 months? They immediately lock it down. And it just happens that way sometimes when you're just with someone who's comfortable, when you're with someone who's convenient, and you're not in a position on your own to move to that next level, yet there's no forward movement. It just is what it is. But now when you're with someone else who is there, who's present, who wants what you want, who loves and cares for you and want more, they're on the same page, and it progresses. So I don't put time into things anymore. I don't think to myself, oh, well, we've been together for 2 years, that means, you know, marriage. No, like, I could marry to a nigga 3 months, okay? Like, you know, but the point is what the point is. Now, that's just what I want to start off with real quick, because I just realized, like, damn, Boston Bay just never really gave a fuck about me. I'm laughing because, you know, I laugh at everything. That's my coping mechanism. But like that, like, just think to yourself, like, wow, my ex never really gave a fuck about me. Wow. Okay. Wow. So that brings me to talk about Chris and Paige from Married at First Sight. Because, child, if y'all are up to date, hey, I don't even know where to begin. I really don't. I feel like, if anything, if I'm Paige, I'm suing the shit out of Lifetime. Hello? Can I say it again? If I am Paige and y'all experts married me or matched me to this nigga, and he's a nigga, he's nobody's man, okay? Y'all matched me to this man who swears he's God-fearing. He comes from a line of pastors and deacons in his family, and that's enough for me to feel convinced because I'm a God-fearing woman. I love God and I want my man. Here's the problem. I think, you know, we're gonna go here real quick because oftentimes Christian women will get themselves fucked up in the name of God. And I'm saying that with all due respect because it's so quick for Christian women, many of them, not all of them, to say, well, you know, God wouldn't give me anything I can't bear, and God ordained marriage, God loves marriage, and God hates divorce. And yet they're in this sufferable marriage. Sufferable. This man is hurting you in more ways than one. And yet you're sticking with it because God ordained this. And I'm speaking like Paige because she whispers when she talks. She's very soft spoken. And child, if I was I would start laughing. And it's so funny with me. When I get mad, when I get happy, when I get sad, all of that, I'm always, there's a laughter somewhere. I'm going to laugh at some point. So you don't know what's coming up. But when I'm laughing and I'm angry at you, please leave my vicinity because I will fuck you up. I will find something. I will do something, anything that's necessary to fuck you up. Yet Paige, she talks in this voice and she's so subtle and she's so calm. Yet, bitch, this nigga is hurting you. He is dragging you through the mud. Okay, so let me just run down a list of things that this nigga has done to her. Okay, and again, he's a nigga, not a man. First, they get married. He tells her, he sees her at the altar. or no, he's at the altar. He sees her walking down. And let's backtrack real quick, because prior to them getting married or seeing each other, he consistently says throughout his interviews on the show, he really wants his wife to be attractive. And the worst thing, what the worst that could happen is if he's not attracted to his wife, if his wife is quote unquote ugly, which is just horrible, right? Like, who says that word at the age 29 or 26? Like, he's around my age, and he says the word ugly. If my wife is ugly, then that would be the worst thing ever. And a few things that he said about what he wants in his wife is he wants for her to be a freak, right? He wants for her to be submissive, and he wants to have children fast. I'm already, like, I'm turned off. If a nigga tells me, as soon as I meet you, a nigga tells me, as soon as I meet you, I want you to bear my children, I'm running to the door, to the parked car, to the yacht, to the convertible, to the bus, to the train. I'm finding different transportation vehicles to get the fuck out. I'm leaving. I'm putting on my track shoes, my mountain hiking boots. I'm finding a way to go. That is not attractive to me. Don't talk about kids the first day we meet or the 5th day we meet. I don't want to hear shit about kids, okay? I already work with kids. I don't want to hear shit about me bearing them. Especially 3, 4, 5. I want a huge family. Then go fuck somebody else. You could have started. You don't have to start with me. You don't have to start with me. You don't have to continue with me. We do not have to be this family that you so want for yourself. That is not what I'm interested in, okay? He immediately starts talking about how he wants to have children. And look, I get it. It's married at first sight. They're literally marrying their spouse at first sight. It's literally the title of the show. So some things may be backwards, right? But still, once you get married, you could agree or come to terms of, hey, here's what we're gonna do, here's what we're not gonna do. And children could be down the line 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, 20. But me, that's just my adverse thoughts around children and bearing them and being a mother and all that stuff. But that's a whole different conversation. I just feel like that's enough for me to be on the run, fugitive, missing. Like, I would find a whole fake ID, okay? He says all these things prior to them getting married. So he sees her walking down the aisle, and his face, yo, I don't know how to describe it. You have to watch the show. But he's not pleased. Let me just say that. He is not pleased. There is nothing pleased about the situation for him. He is not at all attracted to this woman. So that's enough, right? So that's one. He's not attracted to her. Next, he tells her that, right? He tells her, and he tells her friends at the wedding. He says it like, well, she's not someone I typically would go for. She's not his type. But that's just how he's feeling. So they get married. He then tells her that he actually ends up having sex with her that same night. So their honeymoon night. And that following morning, and the following morning, he tells her that he's not attracted to her. So she's upset. She's confused because, wait, what? We fucked. You ate my pussy. You're not attracted to me. I ate your ass out. You're not attracted to me? I'm having your children. You're not attracted. I'm just saying, there's so many things that women would think, oh, of course he's attracted to me because I've given him so much, right? We've experienced so much together. What do you mean you're not attracted to me? And this brings me to Boston, babe, because I was thinking like, damn, this nigga never really gave a fuck about me. And we fucked many times. And I think about like, damn, maybe he wasn't attracted to me. Maybe there was just nothing there yet. Me being a warm body because I'm alive and I was available and ready at his whim that made him just available to do what he did towards me. And of course, it was consensual. He didn't rape me or anything. I'm just making that clear. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes men could have sex with women and be not attracted to them. Like, it really doesn't matter. Men could have sex with women and not be in love with that woman, not be interested in seeing her continuously, not at all. And look, I've done the same. There's been a few niggas that I wish I never even looked at, yet I open my legs to. Like, shit happens sometimes. Shit happens. It will not happen again, let's say that. But shit has happened, so I understand that. But sometimes it sucks to receive that and be the receiving end. Like, damn, we fucked and you just never really cared. You just didn't give a fuck about me. Like, I'm just really stuck on the fact that Boss Man really never gave a fuck about me. But okay, so that is one of the other things. So next, he then a few episodes, probably 2 episodes later, a few episodes later, y'all, prior to him getting married at first sight, he was actually engaged to his ex-fiance. So he was engaged to ex-fiance literally 3 months ago. They broke up 3 months ago. And apparently the whole process of getting on the show is long. It's definitely not just a one-day situation. No. It's strenuous. It's a long process. It's a couple of months. So while he was knee-deep in the process of getting on the show, he was already in a relationship that was leading to marriage. It eventually ended, obviously, but it was leading to marriage. So he was engaged prior. He then gets on the show and marries this stranger who he's not attracted to, but he wouldn't have known that until he meets her and marries her. Then come to find out, his ex-fiance is pregnant with his child, okay, with his seed, and he tells his wife that. And he does it in such an aggressive manner. Please go watch the show and let me know how y'all think. But he grabs her arm and brings her to the bathroom, talking about he's turning on the faucet, the shower. Like nigga, you're in a show. Do you know you're in a show? You signed a contract to be filmed and to be heard. You can't just be hiding out into a fucking oven. Nigga will go in the oven just so no cameras follow him. Are you okay? Do you know what you're on? You're on TV. So he tells Paige, yeah, my ex-fiance, she's pregnant. And at this moment, damn bitch, girl, if this is not enough of a sign for you to leave and get the fuck out, then I don't know what is. But she doesn't leave. Paige remains in this marriage. She, of course, is stricken by the news. She is not happy by it, but she's still very much soft-spoken. She's still very much not confident enough. I think that's the word. Like, there is a low self-esteem that I'm realizing in her that I could see very easily, because I understand it, because I've been there. And she's 26. I know some people might think, well, that's grown. Nah, not really. And I also remember myself when I was 26 4 years ago, because I'm 30 now. But 26 me, I was not 30-year-old me. I was not this outspoken, more confident, more established in who I am and my identity and all that. I was not that then. And there are some women who are that at 26, but there are many women who are not. So I understand how you could be caught up in these emotionally abusive relationships and then think you are deserving of such. Paige was in a relationship prior to Chris of being with this man who had kids already. And I don't know if he had kids on her. I don't know if he had a baby on her, but he had kids already, and she played stepmom for a little bit, and she actually was taking care of the kids for a time being. She shared this on the show, giving some context like, well, this is not the first time I've been through something like this, and I'm not new to this, I'm true to this, trying to brag about, not brag, but trying to be like this boss ass bitch, like, girl, this is not something to be happy about. I am ashamed for you. The fuck? Like, this is not something to be strong about. No, leave. And the problem is, and I'm going back to what I said about the whole Christian women and bringing God into it and not leaving something because God ordained it. God has nothing to do with this. But it's marriage. They got married. It was ordained by God. Has nothing to do with this. I could just end the podcast here. I could just end it here. Because some of us like to do that. And I'm going to be particular to a lot of Christian women. They like to say, well, God has ordained it. And yet they're getting beat the fuck up. Chris is not abusive physically, at least the way he grabbed her arm in one of the episodes, he might be. But the point is, we would endure so much in a marriage because God hates divorce. Well, God's going to have to hate me. I'm kidding, Lord. But you know what I'm talking about? Like, there is this, I'm not dealing with, like, I'm going to put my foot down now. I think sometimes God would give us signs for us to realize, hey, I have a brain. Let me use this. Let me access this brain. Wow, I have a brain to think. I have a brain to be critical in my thinking, in my thought process. This situation does not sound like an ordained marriage by God. Where is God? God is not here. God has nothing to do with this. Please stop saying God ordained this marriage, Paige. God is telling me to tell her, God, I had nothing to do with this, girl. Like, you better get out. You in danger, girl. Shout out to Whoopi. But there is just this like fantastical mindset that many Christian women will have when it comes to marriage. Like, no, well, I'm just going to be this submissive and timid and this dutiful wife. There was a moment in the show when she shared with the pastor that she engaged in sex with him. They would have sex literally every day, she said. Every day. There was only 3 days when they didn't have sex. And that was primarily because he was not in the house. Okay? He was just not physically there. That's why they didn't have sex. It wasn't like, oh no, she doesn't want to. No. He was just not there. Even if she didn't want to, they would have had sex had he been there. Okay? So she goes on to explain how she felt it was her duty to have sex with him, especially on their honeymoon night, because she's his wife and it is her duty to please her husband. And this is so layered. This is so layered because in one hand, I believe both partners, right? Not just a wife thing. Because I feel like, we don't recognize there are wives who cheat. Hello? There are wives who will cheat. And that has a lot to do with the disconnect that happens in the marriage that is shown through lack of sex, that is shown through lack of affection, lack of commitment, lack of something, right? Wherever there is a lack, sometimes the partner will go outside to find the missing piece. And it's not just a husband thing. So with Paige, she feels like, it's her duty to do this. And I think, whenever I become a wife, if that is, what I choose to do, I will be fucking my husband, right? That's not gonna not happen, right? But there is also, you have to say no sometimes. Sometimes it's okay to say, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. And especially if my husband, who I met at the altar for the first time, talking about, I'm not attracted to you, nigga, go to hell. Nigga, go to hell. Go to hell. In the words of my late cousin Joanna, go to hell. Like, there's no other way about it. So she has sex with him continuously. And she's also probably thinking, us having sex could bring us together. We could join because God ordained it. And, with sex, it is a form of worship. If you want to be spiritual about it, you could praise God through your commitment, through your giving of your body to your partner. And this is a way that God has ordained it, right? So I think, I know she was thinking that way. She was being dutiful. She was doing her part as a Christian. And oftentimes when we do our part as Christian women, we are asked out, okay? It is to our expense. We are never reaping our harvest. We're not reaping the benefits. This nigga is out and about in town talking about he's not attracted to you and you're fucking him? Whew, okay, so there's more. So then he then tells her, okay, so they're in the honeymoon. They finally come back. They don't even come back together to Atlanta. This is where this season is stationed in. They're supposed to come in together, go to their house together, or their apartment together in particular. They all move to an apartment funded by the show, and they're supposed to move into the apartment together and start the first few days of regular, normal, daily life as husband and wife. And what does Chris do? He gets on the next flight to Chicago to be with his friends and family and his people out there to get his mind right. He's going to stay there for a few days, not even giving you a time frame, just a few days. So she moves back, or she moves into their home, their marital home, and her husband is MIA. There's a missing person report. Like, that nigga is gone. And I'm in awe because she is still soft-spoken. And again, I understand her because I was once this person, and I'm still mad because I'm like, damn, I wish I was a little bit more aggressive then when I experienced certain similar experiences that Paige is experiencing. But you grow, you learn, you're better now. But goddamn, I'm just so mad. So he finally comes back. He even tells her over the phone. Prior to him coming back to the house, he tells her that he's still in love with his ex-fiance, and he wants to make it work with her, and he wants a divorce from Paige, and he really wants to make it work with the ex-fiance because he doesn't want another man raising his kid. And here's the thing with that bullshit ass excuse. Niggas would say, oh, I don't want a man raising my child. Are you raising your child? Are you even raising your child? Maybe this other man could be better at it, huh? Maybe this other man could actually be the father the child needs, huh? You ever thought about that? Did you ever think about the best interest of this child? You haven't? Wow. Because I can tell you right now, I don't know about you as a father. We shouldn't judge the way he is in a relationship to the way I don't give a fuck. I think it's very telling to someone's character. Just in general, if you are so willing and able to just be ain't shit ass nigga, I don't know if you're gonna be such a great dad. I don't know. Maybe you can be, but to give that excuse like, well, I don't want my child being raised by another man. Like, how, sometimes men have this cockiness about them. Like, nah, ain't no other man raising my seed. But like, then you act right. How about you act right so you could learn how to be a man in order to raise a child? Never mind your own. Do you have children around you can help raise? Like, do you know what that is? Child, it's a whole list of things that I feel like, it just ultimately goes back to passiveness in relationships. It goes back to this whole fantastical approach when it comes to marriage. Coming from a Christian woman's mindset, marriage has been seen as an idol. Honestly, marriage is something we've worshipped, that we have been taught to worship. If you're not a Proverbs 31 woman, right? If you're not virtuous, if you're not submissive, then you won't receive the blessing of marriage. You won't receive the blessing of a husband. Yet, there's scripture that says, he who finds a wife, right, finds a good thing. But there's so much pressure on the woman to be that wife, to be married, to like, as if we could put ourselves in that wife position, as if we could get the nigga and just have him marry us. No. The man has to make that pursuit to marry, to ask for our hand in marriage. Yet for so many years, women, young girls, have been taught to view marriage as an idol, has something to, like, niggas will worship marriage than they would Jesus. Jesus ain't got nothing on marriage. I could get married. I could have a husband. I could have this life that you are painting for me. Oh, it only happens through marriage. Like, there is just this horrible approach when it comes to marriage and motherhood, and it's just very tainted, and it's partly why I'm just very hesitant on all of that, because one thing about me, I don't ever want to be trapped. And yes, you could get a divorce, right? But ultimately, I don't want to, whatever. I don't want to ever get trapped. I don't want to ever be tied down to somebody, to a situation, and then be like, oh shit, what did I do? What the fuck did I do? Isn't there a cartoon character? Is that Daffy Duck? Oh no, something's going on. What did he say? It says something. Let me know if you guys figure it out. But there's was it Daffy Duck? What's going on now? He does his voice. Okay. What the fuck did I do? Like, I don't want to be trapped. And motherhood is another form of trapping to me as well. I don't want to be trapped, and suddenly my identity is not mine. Suddenly the goals and dreams and hopes and aspirations and wishes and all of these things that I have for myself is suddenly not a factor anymore, because I'm a mother and I'm a wife. And because the way marriage and motherhood was taught to me, I just, like, all that scares the shit out of me. Like, nigga, you have to show up and show out and be that man and not that nigga for me to even consider bearing your seed. So, all of that to say, there's niggas. And what else, y'all? And there's men. There's niggas and there's men. And, I just, what does it look like to be not Paige, right? To not be a Paige in a relationship? Know yourself, know your worth, be aware of what's happening in the moment. Don't just sit back and say, oh, well, God had it ordained, or the experts knew what they were doing when they matched. No, they didn't. This is a fucking joke. This is a joke. You've been bamboozled. You could sue Lifetime, Viacom, BET, find BET to come, to sue them. You could find a way to get some money out of this, because child, she is being bamboozled. And I also want to just make a point that shyness and timidness, is a downfall. And it sucks for me to even say that, because growing up, there's been times when I've been shy. Okay? There's been times when I've been timid. There's been times when I would even be, introverted. I would even sometimes describe myself sometimes now as introverted. Very, very rarely. It depends on the environment that I'm in. But I realize it's not even introvertedness. It's just, if I'm not comfortable in an environment, I'm not going to really be my whole self there. I may be quiet and reserved. So I don't think that's introvertedness. I feel like oftentimes, though, with being an introvert, with being shy, with being timid, you are going to experience worse situations because you're afraid to speak up for yourself, because you're not bold enough in yourself. You know what's so funny? I won't obviously tell, well, it won't matter, but one of my passwords for it, whatever, I'm not gonna be specific, I don't know who's gonna hack me, I got hackers listening, but one of my passwords uses the word bold. I put the word bold in my password. Bold is blank, okay? I'm just gonna say that. I put bold in my password because I realize there's been times throughout my life when I wasn't as bold as I could have been. I wasn't speaking up for myself as I could have been. And I have made the deliberate choice to include boldness as my one of the words in my vocabulary, has a way to show up as such. You know how you just start talking about being something and then you eventually become that? So I realized I've had bold is in a few of my passwords. And now I realize, wow, I'm bold. I am a bold woman. You know, I've done bold things. I've been brave. I am brave. I've showed displays of bravery, of boldness, and of confidence. And had I been shy still, had I been timid still, I would have never made the experiences that I'm experiencing now a reality. I would have never finally moved to Houston. I would have never stepped out on faith. I would have never finally put that Boston Bay nigga on block. Child, that nigga never really gave a fuck about me. At the end of the day, that is just hilarious to me. And it's not on some, like, I don't desire him. I don't miss him. No, it's just, again, when you get out of something and you realize, damn, this is really what it was, it really just kind of fucks up with your mental for a moment. And that's what I'm just sharing right now. So please don't worry, I will not talk to Boston Bay again. I know my listeners have been through an emotional roller coaster when it comes to me and Boston Bay. Okay, I will have listeners talk to me about him in person. Like, damn, I need help. But he's still on block. I do wonder, naturally, because I'm gonna be a wonderer. I wonder if he realized that he's blocked. I wonder if he's like regretting how he's treated me. I wonder if he is even thinking of other ways to contact me if he could, or if he just like, okay, whatever. Finally she blocked me, finally she took the way out. Even though I've given her many opportunities to leave me, she finally took the way out and stayed out. I don't know, I do wonder that, because I think about Chris and Paige again, because I see some relation there with my experience with Boston Bay and maybe a few other guys I've dated. Chris and Paige, I see some similarities that I've experienced in my dating history. And Chris has presented many opportunities for Paige to be like, peace, nigga. Peace. Bye. I'm gone. Yet she stayed. Yet she continued. She stayed after he told her, I'm not attracted to you. She stayed after he has continuously used her for just sex and hasn't cared to make an emotional connection with her. He stayed after going back and forth with her, saying how he would rather his son or his child, I don't know if it's a son or daughter, his pending child, to not be raised by a stranger. And he's considered going back to his ex, but he decided that no, he's gonna stick out the marriage. Like, even saying stick out the marriage, that's enough for me to be like, nigga, bye. Like, I cannot. Ciao. That's what I really just want to get over to you guys, that God is not an excuse to stay in situations that are not healthy. That's the ultimate message I want you guys to get away from today's episode. God is not an excuse to stay in marriages, in relationships that are not healthy. And sure, a marriage will go through trying times, right? You may experience infidelity in a marriage. You may experience I don't know, lack of care. Like, I don't fucking know. I'm not married. I don't know what else do niggas experience in marriages. But the point is, there will be leaps, or what is it, hills and valleys, peaks and valleys. That's what I'm trying to say. That is normal, right? I just think there's a certain point when you have to say to yourself, what the fuck am I doing? Like, just look in the mirror and be like, your name, say your name. What the fuck am I doing? No, don't put God in this. God has nothing to do. What the fuck? Well, God has nothing to do with this. And I think and I'm saying we as in, many Christian women, if we were not raised to believe, I know men aren't listening to this episode, so just giving y'all some context, the way that many Christian women were raised, the way we were if we were not raised that way, if religion was even a thing, right? If believing in certain ideologies and worshiping if marriage wasn't an idol to many Christian women, then many of us in our adult lives would not have experienced the level of abuse in relationships. It all goes back to the church. But like, there is just this, until you grow up and grow into more of who you are, you realize there's a lot of manipulation that has been had throughout different practices in your life. Whether it's through family traditions that has been toxic, and you realize now that you're grown, maybe this person, let me not even go there, but maybe this tradition is not the healthiest, right? Maybe sweeping this under the rug hasn't really been helping anyone's psyche, right? You realize the practice in certain churches and certain religions haven't really been conducive to your well-being now that you are an adult and you could think for yourself. Now, continue that thought process. Start having conversations. Start talking to people outside of your circle. Oftentimes, we are just with people who always say the same things, who always think the same, who will always stay in that same 2002 mindset, 1998 mindset, 95 mindset, when it's like, bitch, it's 2021. And you're still thinking like this? A lot of people are arrested in their development. A lot of people are arrested in their development. They don't know how to function in this world today, in the ideologies that are now presented in the breaking of what was and what was seen as normal. A lot of people have not been moved from that. And it leads to many Christian women being in these abusive relationships and in abusive marriages. And it's a cautionary tale. So I hope the listeners and anyone who watches the show as well, just, child, be careful. Just be careful. God is not an excuse. Let's not add God. God has nothing to do with that mess. And use your emotional intelligence. Use your intelligence overall. There's a reason why we have brains, right? There's a reason why we have these other parts of ourselves. Instead of just being this aloof dumbass, it just goes down to that. It goes down to that. Child, I'm gonna end it here. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll check in with you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.